Okay, this video is how to make a good YouTube video, and there's some different thoughts here. People often say, well, your video should be like a story. And they'll say, start out with a hook, a good opener to get the audience attention. The beginning of the video is the most important part because if people don't like the beginning, they won't continue to watch. It never gets seen. Far more people watch the beginning of a video than the last third of it. Some type of intro about what the video is about, and then some type of problem. And the audience sees a problem, and then the idea of the video is that it's going to help them to solve the problem. Give a couple examples. So this is a mnemonic I made, hype sock. A solution, provide a solution to the problem. Don't bring something up unless you know how to solve it. And then an outro, sort of explain a little bit about the solution, on the nuance of it, a call to action, what they can do. And then maybe a keeper, a take-home message. Remember these 2-3 things. That's the most important part. That's a reasonable way to tell a story. A lot of times what I do is I just have something interesting, whatever it might be, something I talked about with a friend or just learned, and I'll just make a video. The brain is a story processor, not a logic processor. I say that because if you go to internal medicine talks, internal medicine, they tend to just fact after fact after fact, and the talks are really boring. You want to have a story is just easy to remember, easy to tell. I like this quote from this guy here. His name is Naval Ravikant. He said, "Inspiration is perishable, so act quickly." And it's good to do what feels like play to you, what feels like work to others. So anyways, inspiration is perishable. I'll get an idea, and I know I'm only going to be excited about it for a day or two, so I immediately will make a video just because I'm interested in the subject at that moment. If you let it sit for a week, you'll be tired, you'll get distracted, you'll get busy with something else. So you got to make the video right away for a lot of stuff. People like pictures of people. If you go to the magazines at the grocery store when you're in the checkout aisle, the most common thing you see is a picture of a woman's face. Even women like looking at women more than they look at men. So that's why you typically will see an attractive looking woman, her face on the cover of most magazines. Get to the point fast. I think a lot of these YouTube channels, they have all these intros and it's their thing, but, I think that's a waste of people's time. It's kind of an intellectual insult. You want to have your face on the screen, even though, I'm coming home from work and I'm tired. I just heard so many so-called experts always say, put your face on the screen because that's what makes it different than just listening to the radio, for example. In addition, they say on your thumbnails, you should have a picture of a face because I like all my art. And I sort of enjoy looking through the art and using art things, but they go, your art, nobody cares about that. And I went to all the famous YouTube sites and I looked at them. Every single one of them that I could find just about had a picture of a human face on it. So that's how I started drifting in that direction. They say that adds to rapport. People want to see your face. It gives them a sense of if they're comfortable listening to what you say. Why make a YouTube channel? You have to have something that you think is big, that you really want to talk about or that you feel is a big deal. And like I said, on the one hand, I was shocked at all the medical books, all the textbooks, the major medical books. They're wrong on all the major chapters. They stink on coronary artery disease. They stink on diabetes. They stink on hypertension. They stink on autoimmune disease. They stink on cognitive impairment and dementia and multiple other subjects. So I'm like, gosh, all these books stink. And then you try to publish something to explain what's really going on in those fields, and the journals will refuse to take it. So it's sort of like, okay, well, we got the internet. We'll speak on the internet. Also, I sort of feel like so many books are so tedious and they have to stick to the straight and narrow. And I'm like, oh, give me a freaking break. So that's another reason why I felt like there was a need to be on the internet and have a more natural speaking style, like talking to an intelligent friend. Because that's how I actually talk to my other doctor buddies. We talk and we laugh and we joke around. And I felt there should be somebody on the internet talking that way, the way we actually really talk to each other. You got to have some type of big goal. And your big goal should lead you on and give you energy. Sort of like I get a little pissed off that conventional medicine doesn't recognize somebody like me. It's almost like you have to fit your IQ in this range of about 115 to 145. And if you're beyond that, which I am way beyond that, then it's like you're not welcome. That always pissed me off. None of the Hispanic medical societies will invite me. The journals won't publish my articles, and I get pissed off, because the doctors will tell me to my face, oh, you're the smartest doctor I ever met in my life, but they won't invite me to speak in front of their group, in front of their students, in front of their residents. They just want me, as their friend to teach them stuff, and I'm happy to do it. I like them, but I'm sort of saying it's like if you're a higher IQ person in medicine, you're not welcome. It's weird, but that is true. You end up kind of an outsider like McDougall. Let's see, what else about it? All right, and then also people tell me, oh, you shouldn't make jokes, you shouldn't have Bible sixers. It's like, kiss my ass, you know. The psychiatrists over at Harvard are poisoning all these people with these medicines that they know they don't work, okay, and that's considered ethical. But if I make a fart joke, that's unethical. Or if I put a Bible scripture in one of my lectures, that's inappropriate. Bullshit. When I was younger, people used to do that more. Now we're pushing towards this atheistic medicine. As we push towards atheistic medicine, notice that the results get worse and worse and worse. You know, like I said, I've talked about the God-based worldview and all that stuff enough times, so we won't go into that again. Okay, as far as your opener, it's good with the opener. Let me just make this up here. It's good with an opener. You know, have something that is good right in the beginning, so that you don't want to bury the lead, so to speak. Get to some good stuff fast. You know, some empowering promise, perhaps. You know, how you can lose weight, how you can lower your insulin resistance. So, you know, let the audience know right at the beginning. There's going to be something useful here. You're not just wasting your time. For longer talk, I like to have a theme. You know, maybe there'll be some artistic theme or something that's, you know, attention grabbing. The opening picture, it's good to open with a picture because words are relatively boring compared to pictures. And often it should be, you know, self-preservation or something to do with sex or money or danger or whatever. It's often good to have a new slogan or metaphor for making a video or awareness of a new problem. Rhetorical questions are impact boosters. They increase engagement because they get a person to focus on the topic. We're sort of programmed to want to respond when we're asked a question. Don't start with an agenda start slide. That's a typical thing where they give a list of what's going to be talked about. That's very boring, and that's the typical way people are trained to talk, but that's only if your goal is to just get by and be mediocre. If you want to give good talks, again, talk like you're talking to a smart friend. That's what people enjoy hearing. I would often sort of see my academic lectures as being in this pattern, you know, starting out with useful common sense info that everyone should know, then some fine points of interest that are more specialized, and maybe some highly specialized ideas and insights that you can connect things, and that leads to an AO, academic orgasm, and then kind of get back down to common sense. And this way, you know, beginners aren't left in the dust. They can keep up, but the more advanced people will get the fun stuff. And it'll be worth their time. It'll be worth everybody's time that's willing to listen to it. So this is a sort of a conventional factual information lecture is kind of like this. For a lot of stories are more like this drama. We talked about this. I gave one full talk on this. This is the idea of the hero's journey. You know, starting out with the familiar and the known, and then drifting into the unknown. Failure, setback, and then trying to bounce back and come back to success. So this is the dramatic story. This is sort of the most emotional story. And this is like what most good novels are, you know, like Scrooge. Scrooge's a total miserable scumbag, and then he redeems himself, and things are great, you know. Les Miserables, Jean Valjean, problem after problem, he's in jail, and all these terrible, awful things happen, and then he becomes a great man and a mayor, and he bounces back. You know, that's pretty typical, the hero's journey. You know, we talked about that before in a previous video. Okay, here's a couple quotes on giving a talk. Winston Churchill, there is nothing like oratory. It can make a commoner a king. Winston Churchill, a speech should be like a woman's skirt, long enough to cover the subject, but short enough to create interest. Okay, Zig Ziglar. I like Zig Ziglar. He says a few good things. He says logic gets people to think, but emotion gets them to act. Yeah, it's the emotion that drives people. And then he says something else here that's real nice. Duty makes us do things well, but love helps us to do them beautifully. I think if you have a sense of duty and professionalism, you do what needs to be done to get by, but it's with that extra love that you can make something special, you know. And that's good. I think that's a big thing about Christianity. Why Christianity produces the best art in the world, the best music in the world of anything. You got tons of smart people from all the different cultures, but none of them can produce music or art anywhere near overall as common and as often as the Christians do. You want to make people good artists? Make them Christians. Okay, let's see. A truly great orator is a hero, Ralph Waldo Emerson. Bill McGowan from his book Pitch Perfect. If you feel like you're about to make a mistake, slow down and think before you speak. Don't rush or just avoid the topic. My attitude about pre-speech is get yourself energized like you're about to go for a personal best lifting weights. You know, guzzle down 32 ounces of beet juice, chase it with 16 ounces of water. And do that at least an hour and a half to 2 hours before you talk. Then you'll be hydrated. Your blood glucose levels high. The beet juice increases nitric oxide, systemic vasodilator. All your arteries are opened up and you're ready to, you know, really perform at your best, be most articulate, your mouth, hydrate before you orate, like Bill McGowan says. Your mouth is wet and you speak better. Okay, digression is okay, because, you know, a lot of times the fun stuff comes from that. Ray Bradbury, he's the guy who wrote Fahrenheit, I think, 451. It's a pretty good book. He's a good writer. Simon Sinek says, most important thing is you show up to give, that you're going to provide something useful to the audience. You're not just trying to promote a product, okay? So I think that was good. Cicero, if you wish to persuade me, you must think my thoughts, feel my feelings, and speak my words. Cicero is the greatest of all the Romans. If you want to study the ancient Romans, just study Cicero. If you just study Cicero, you'll just bounce into everything else you want to know. I spent a long time studying the ancient Romans, and there's a lot to learn from them. Basically, the ancient Greeks, I love the ancient Greeks. They're great. They're wonderful. They're like a high point ever in the civilization of mankind. Whereas the Romans were largely a reversion back to sort of the evil of the world. They were brutal, harsh, and kind of cruel much of the time. But at the same time, they did have some great stuff. They respected the Greeks, and they adopted their culture. So Cicero said all kinds of great things. Put your best part of your case into a rhyme. The rhyme is a magnet for the ears. The more you repeat something, the more the audience will believe it. That's actually how the big public is tricked. They just repeat something and the public actually believes it no matter how stupid it is. The internet provides you the potential to be heard by a lot of people. It's very difficult to get heard on a wide basis, but at least there's a possibility. As a matter of fact, if you look at some of these YouTube channels, of these different video channels, I would say your best chance to be heard is on BitChute. The reason I say that is when you go to BitChute, you post a video, all the videos are there. So everybody who's looking at videos will get a chance to see your video and decide if they want to watch it or not. It's going to quickly run, down through the path off the page, and eventually no one's going to know it's there, but at least you get a chance. The same thing on Rumble. They show all the videos and give people a chance to see them, but they only show them one at a time, so nobody ever goes too far scrolling that. So if you put something on Rumble, it'll probably never be seen by anybody. Versus if you put it on BitChute, you can be pretty much guaranteed to getting at least about 30 views, and if they like it, they'll come back and watch you more. So BitChute gives you a chance. On YouTube, my experience with YouTube is you're pretty much screwed. I kind of got lucky that a few people saw it, and that led to a few more. But I still, can't bounce out of this, not that many views per video compared to, other nutrition channels, people who got on earlier. So it's harder, from what I've seen, to move up on YouTube. The best one, like I said, is BitChute. BitChute is crazy. There's all kinds of nonsense and craziness and silliness there, but it gives you the best chance to be seen, no matter who you are, and to move up based on your merit and your skills. So if I ever get pushed off of this channel, BitChute's my next place I would go. Rumble, just the audience at Rumble is so narrow-minded. There's not a lot going on there. Whereas in BitChute, there's everything going on there. Let's see, what else can we say here? Memorable stuff. People like paintings, drawings, jokes, metaphors, a good slogan, good chiasmus especially. Contrarian talks, anything where you just compare and contrast, that tends to do well. It's kind of like if you look at a political speech, what gets applause? Chiasmus and strong comparisons. Public schools don't want students to learn, so they don't teach study schools. Private practice hospitals don't want patients to be cured, so they don't teach vegan diet, okay? And they don't teach toxicology either. Chiasmus, just typical things like Oscar Wilde. The only thing worse than being talked about is not being talked about. Some people bring happiness and laughter into whatever room they enter. Others remove it. So he's a great talker. And of course, the JFK chiasmus is a great one. He says, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country, which is kind of funny because he's basically saying he wants you to work for him for nothing. And people liked hearing that. And I would joke you can just take the template of a rhetorical form and put your own words in it. Ask not what a husband can do for a wife, but what a wife can do for a husband. Ask not what a boyfriend can do for a girlfriend, but what a girlfriend can do for a boyfriend. So you can play with the rhetoric forms. Once you got them, it's easy to use them. And that's chiasmus. That's one of the best rhetoric forms. Controversial topics. I think it's good to talk about controversial topics because that makes your channel more interesting, more useful. On the other hand, here's the pitfall. Other people say, oh, you should never talk about anything controversial because then you'll get censored, you'll get banned, and also you get a reputation as a controversial person. No one will want to interview. And that might be true, but at the same time, I wouldn't enjoy making this channel if it was just going to be dull and wimpy. I want it to be good and useful, and so I'm going to have to talk about controversial stuff. And then they'll also tell me you should only talk about nutrition. You should make a separate channel for everything else. It takes so much time to do this. I'm working full time. I don't have time to make separate channels, and it's just a hobby. I'm not making any money. I don't really care. I mean, I'd like to be seen more, but it doesn't really matter. It's just a hobby. So let's see. That's one of the things. As far as word slides tend to be pretty boring. I'm kind of using them as my own notes, almost like a cue card to read off, but picture slides in general are much better. If ever I give a science talk, you guys have seen it, I'll usually try to make mostly drawings and images and stuff from journals. I like Alexander Solzhenitsyn quote, anything that adds to the truth subtracts from the truth, so you don't want to overclutter. And I know I certainly put too many words on a lot of my slides. Sometimes I'm using the same thing in different talks, so we'll just leave it there. But people notice, like Dennis Burkett and others, that what people remember will be the picture, the joke. They're not going to remember all the details of the word. Bill McGowan had a couple good quotes here. He's the guy from his book Pitch Perfect. It's a good book. Goes into more detail than most people want, but it's good. Visual storytelling is a sweet spot of communication. So your eyes take in information in a different way than your ears do, or that you do. Your eyes have seen a picture. Then when you reading and hearing are about the same. So what's good is to put a picture on the slide and then to talk about the picture. So the eyes will see the picture and then their ears will hear it and they'll be able to integrate the two. But if you put word slides on there and you talk through the word slides, it's almost like they could read it themselves. That doesn't go quite so well. But still, it's a useful point. And again, we can take in a picture much faster than we can take in words, written words, for example. Johnny Harris, I liked him. He's kind of a crazy guy, and I disagree with him on lots of things, but he does have a good YouTube channel. Very popular YouTube videos, and I like the way he'll start with a map and then he'll go to the people. So the map sort of anchors you and orientates you, and then seeing the picture anchors you to the concept. You really want a picture to go with everything. And he made a good quote too, that when you plan on doing a video, it gives you an excited accountability. You're enthusiastic to read about the subject because you got to make a video, you want the video to be good. So basically, if you want to be smart at something, you want to be knowledgeable at something, make a video about it. Write a book chapter about it or something. It's a way you become more expert on it. Start having conversations with people about it. That's how you learn stuff and get good at it. Okay, as far as grooming, try to look nice. Like, I like having a beard because I don't like shaving, but every person I talk to always tells me, you look better when you shave. Everybody wants you to shave. You look older when you have a beard. So, I'm just about 60 years of age. And, I forgot another thing, too. I usually keep a sweatshirt on my chair. Hold on a sec. To give a background here, so sorry about this. This is my fancy office here. So you want to do all these little things to try to get in the habit. Make a list of everything you need to do to make this. Now your face will stand out against the background. All these little things. Try to get a suntan. If there's no sun in your area, eat some carrots. Try to be fit. You should be lifting weights. Trim your ear hair and all this. Groom yourself. Get one of those little buzzers, your nose hairs. You just want to try to look a little better. It makes you more pleasant. People don't want to, you can't help being whatever you are in terms of how you look, but you can look a little better with some effort. For an old guy, it's best to have the light kind of soft. You don't want the light up high, it just shines on your bald head. You don't want it all below, it shines on your double chin. So sort of just about your eye level, a little above and below. Soft light tends to work well. These ring lights tend to be good. I'll show you what they look like. Here's a ring light. Let's see. A white shirt's considered more highbrow according to the book Dress for Success by John Malloy. It's a good book. Blue is more man of the people. Dark tie is more formal. Red tie is more dominant, I like the red, white, and green. It's kind of like Christmas. It's kind of like the Italian flag. It's also the Christian colors of faith is the white, green is the hope, and red is love or charity or agape, you could call it, which, it's love, basically. But charity and agape are different words for love in the Bible. And I like that because I basically see, the world is kind of heading towards making a decision where we're either going to go, sort of have sort of a Bible-based society, or we're going, I'm having a hard time moving. We're either going to have a Bible-based society or we're going to head to communism. And, I don't want communism. Communism is screwed. It's basically the modern form of slavery. So I think we have to speak up with it. It's like everyone's perfectly fine with talking about atheism, but why aren't you fine talking about Christianity? And I feel like you have to have it. I mean, you don't have to be a Christian. Nobody cares what you do. But I'm just saying there's nothing else that can stand up to communism. There is nothing else. All this Zen, Buddhism, Hinduism, great. I know lots of great people and all those things. Okay, but I'm just saying society's value system, if you do not have something strong, communism will just smash it down. And that's what's happening right now. And I think that's a big part of why all these new so-called value systems are being promoted, because they're going to be promoted as a way to say, oh, Christianity doesn't agree with this completely, therefore Christianity is bad, therefore Christianity should be illegal. And they have to get Christianity legal because Christianity says all men are equal underneath God, so they have to get rid of it. Communism feels that it has to, so that's what it's doing. And once Christianity is gone, where's your art going to come from? Where's your literature going to come from? Where's your music going to come from? Don't kid yourself. You're going to be stuck. Take a look at Russia. People, what they live in, the crap holes they live in. Okay, let's see what else. Dress nice is a sign of respect for the audience, a sign of respect for yourself. Makes you look a little more professional. You know, it depends what you're doing. But if you're talking about medical, scientific stuff, you should be dressed nice. Okay, Sadak, this is kind of what life is like. You slowly climb your way up. You know, for most people, they don't ever climb up at all with a YouTube channel. And of the ones who do, it's usually slow. There's some people who are lucky to climb up real fast, especially if they're selling the party line. The more you speak, the better you get at it. There's no limit on it. Brian Tracy's a real good motivator and getting you inspired. It's good to have a power pause, especially, I have a tendency sometimes to go too fast, so I'm trying to teach myself to pause, let the audience, catch up, absorb the one thought, store it away, and then be ready for the next one. But you don't want to go too slow or that's boring. People can always watch the video over. They can also watch it slowed down. So anyways, I think that's about it. Let me see if I got one more slide here. Well, I could talk about comedians, but that's sort of a topic for another day. So anyways, hope that was helpful.